How many years have we talked about this day? How they're thinking about it? 4+ years. That's how long. And your American comeback story, our comeback story, everybody's story, is starting right now. In fact, polls are open right now in 2/3 of the country, and more to open soon. And I used to think that it was all, a separate kind of deal. You can talk about news, you can talk politics, the future of the country, whatever, and then your personal success on one side of the thing, and, the two shall never meet. No, it's all tied together, and that's why I call it a comeback story for everybody. And we'll get to that. And we'll get to the last rally for Trump, and he was, confident. Is that a good description of it? And having a good time. The last rally as a candidate, I should say, because I don't think he's done going on the road. We'll talk about that, as well as an election integrity update that I think should make you feel better about things. And we'll also start this off with the first polling results from Dixville Notch, New Hampshire. What a scene that is. I love American traditions that we actually do this kind of thing. Tiny, tiny little town. And that's another result that may surprise you. But first of all, before any of that happens, thanks for finding me. Thanks for finding Wicked Radio. This is going to live as a post, a replay on X and YouTube later on. We're live right now, obviously, and might even have some results as we come in here through the next 15 minutes. Who the heck knows? And the audio podcast, too, where you can find them wherever you get them. But most importantly, let's go to the American tradition. Tiny little Dixville Notch, New Hampshire. Why we still do this, I have absolutely no idea. But we do. And it's one of those American traditions. It's like Groundhog Day, right? Going to Punxsutawney, Pennsylvania. Well, we go to Dixville Notch for the first results of the American election system in a big one. And these are the results. First of all, this was amazing. This happened just a little while ago. I had to watch it. I had no idea about the pageantry they actually have at Dixville Notch. But let me tell you something. It is awesome. They do the national anthem and a grand intro. Whole little cabin, the room, everything is all dressed up, and they got a guy with an accordion doing the anthem. Fantastic.
And it's now midnight, November 5th, and polls are open in Dixville.
Okay, so the polls are open. And we got to get to the results, right? It didn't take long, so they're open. They go into a little curtain booth. How did it all work out?
When the polls are closed.
Oh, it took about a minute.
We'll now begin the counting. For president, 3 for Kamala Harris, 3 for Donald Trump.
Oh, and you didn't hear it there, but the guy in charge in Dixville Notch actually came out and he said, it got cut off, but he said, under his breath, reflects the rest of the country. Pretty interesting. They cut that part out. Now it's 3-3. You're thinking, okay, well, that didn't really tell me anything, and not like we're all kind of like basing our lives on Dixville Notch, New Hampshire anyway, but let me just share this with you. 2024, 3-3 as we just heard. Well, in 2020, Trump didn't get one vote. It was 5-0. Biden over Trump. Wow, I guess somebody stayed home for COVID. I don't know what it was. In 2016, it was Hillary 4 and Trump 2. So, my friends, Trump has already flipped 50% of the votes. You got to say it's good news for the guy, right? Amazing. Absolutely amazing. All right, I promised you an election integrity update because we've all kind of like waited with bated breath. It's been a full year since Megyn Kelly came out and she actually said that they were going to have, I think she came out with something crazy like 5,000 election lawyers, 500 people here. We want an army of 10,000 lawyers watching everything. And maybe they didn't come up with that, but they got pretty damn close with this because what they actually came up with was this, and this is an actual update from Lara Trump, where she said, slight correction, 230,000 poll observers and poll workers strong, 500 attorneys in every battleground state, and our message is crystal clear. Do not cheat. If you do, we will find you and prosecute you to the fullest extent of the law. That's good news. This is good news, too. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has deployed his legal team to major cities across the state to identify and prosecute any instances of election fraud. That's really good news. And this, too. This coming from, and I don't know if you know this name or not, Harmeet Dillon. She is an election attorney. She's worked on with Lara Trump and with the GOP for a long time, working, the real heroes of the story for 4 years now, working on election integrity, working behind the scenes, getting it done, making sure that things are on the up and up. She posted this a little while ago. Polls open in less than an hour in Arizona, and now they're actually open. And she says lawyers and observers in the thousands, by the thousands, ready to go throughout the entire state. Let's do this. That should make all of us feel good, because that's exactly what's going to be needed. We talked about this a lot yesterday because we're all adults here. We know that the cheat is going to happen. But what happens is, and why this is so important, you've got to swamp that cheat. They have to beat the cheat. Trump has talked about this for years. And you'll hear here in the little audio from last night from Grand Rapids, Michigan, the last rally as a candidate. The last one. It was kind of bittersweet. But what he said was the overall message. He said, it's very simple. If we turn out, and he means the entire electorate voting for Trump and the Republicans, down the ticket for team unity, they can't win. The Democrats cannot cheat it if enough people turn out. And that's the overall message. But it did happen last night. It was a rally. Get this. So here's his closing rally in the great, important state of Michigan. Grand Rapids, Michigan was the site. He took the stage. It was actually this morning. I say last night, but it was this morning. 12:12 a.m. in Grand Rapids, Michigan. He took the stage. How about that? And shortly into it, this was kind of an awesome moment for a final rally. Somebody in the crowd reminded him that this is Election Day, Mr. President, because he was talking about tomorrow and this and that and how big it is. Somebody actually reminded him, they said, it's today.
It's totally in our hands. Oh, it's today. Oh, it's today. Thank you. That's today. Wow. Can you imagine a crowd like this at like 1 o'clock or some ridiculous time in the morning?
But they were there. Where was Cackles? Where was Kamala? Did you happen to see that? Her finally closing statement. They did a video of her knocking on doors. I think in it was Pennsylvania. Completely staged. They had to redo one, and they caught her on a hot mic saying, "Can you go back inside the house and we'll record this like I just met you?" Completely fake. Fake versus authentic. You heard just right there. And of course, the message stayed the same.
We want the answer tonight. They spend all this money, and old-fashioned paper is much less expensive. And you know what? It's more accurate. It's much better. Something's going on with this. I mean, what the hell are they doing? But we don't want to wait 10 days, 12 days, 3 days, 2 days, or 2 hours. We want the answer tonight.
Will we? I don't know. There's too many states that have come out and said, we may not be able to get our results for 4. Did you hear about Arizona? 4 days it may take. 4 days to count. Maybe not. But again, another thing that's dependent on the turnout and swamping the vote, beating the cheat, overcoming that built-in corrupt blue wall. That's what it's going to take. And it may happen. But that's another thing that's going to happen. We all have our main reasons, right? Whole laundry list, a whole full bag of reasons why you're voting for Trump, because you want a better economy. You want to avoid World War III. You want cities to be safe again, right? You want to stop the insanity in the lawfare. And you want to make sure the elections are fair going forward, including that. I think, I'm pretty sure, in fact, that if he does win, as we think he's going to, is going to be a massive effort to make sure that our elections are secure. You know, I'm in Florida, and I remember clear as day back in the year 2000 remember the hanging chads and all that crap? Well, it's a big focus back in the day in a massive state. A massive, massive state this is, and very important to the electorate. They put a lot of work into fixing the election system in this state, and they did it, and it can be done. Florida pretty much works. I say that now, fingers crossed that everything, comes through tonight okay, and I think it will. You put the effort into it, it can work. The actual thought, is another thing for Nevada. They actually said there were lawyers, Democrat lawyers, who were pushing for getting rid of, and it's still in the court as we speak right now this morning live, in the courts, fighting to have mail-in ballots not postmarked. It's just, it's the same line of reasoning why you wouldn't want voter ID. The only reason why you push that stuff is to cheat elections. Maybe that's your single issue vote. Maybe that's why you're voting for Trump. Maybe it's important enough to do it to clean up our elections, because then you'll really find out how the people feel. It may be another thing. Another big thing happened last night. So Joe Rogan, as we all know, right? And Trump had done the interview, did 3 hours with him. The J.D. Vance, if you haven't checked out the J.D. Vance interview with Rogan, I think that was even better. It was more revealing. It was great. Well, in a surprise, quote-unquote, appearance, Elon talkster Joe Rogan yesterday, and he had all kinds of things to say. This is long. I think it's worth it. And the reason why Elon got activated and joined the MAGA Avengers, Team Unity, he explained it very well. It's scary, but it lays out the case, and it's really important. Elon yesterday on Joe Rogan. And what came out of this after the interview was maybe even more important.
There's only like six or seven swing states. The margin of victory in those states is small, often like 10 or 20,000 votes. What the Democrat administration has been doing is importing vast numbers of illegals into swing states. You can look at the numbers on the actual government website, meaning you don't take my word for it. You'll just look at the numbers as reported by the government, which is controlled by the Democrats. And what we're seeing is triple-digit increases in the number of illegals in every swing state. In some cases, 700% increases. These are gigantic numbers. So if you have a state that has a 10 or 20,000 vote margin, and you put 200,000 illegals into that state, you 10x you swamp the. It's not a swing state anymore. It's going to vote blue.
How do the Democrats come back and say that's just a conspiracy theory now? Because what he just quoted there were government numbers put together by Democrats. It's not a conspiracy theory. You know, that's just silly. We want to do the humane thing. We want to give people a chance to come in the door. No, it's not. They couldn't give a damn about illegals coming in. And a lot of them have had a worse life here than they had getting here. And you imagine the hell they got through to get here. And I'm talking about families, not the illegal Venezuelan gangs that came here who are terrorizing small American cities. Because the Democrats want to flood, as Elon just explained there, these swing states so that they would be blue forever. That's it. They'd pack the court. Elections are done. There'd be some sort of a show election going on in the future, but it would just come down to the Democrat primary. That's why this is so important, because that's clear as day what they're trying to do, and it's so obvious now they can't hide it anymore. Of course that's what they're trying to do. That's not a conspiracy theory. It's everything they thought and told you right in front of your face is actually happening. That's why this is so important. The end result, though, of Elon joining Team Unity, and then at the last minute, what a closing argument to go on Joe Rogan. Around 1 million plus views immediately, and then only grew from there. And check it out if you have time today when you're not voting. The end result last night, an endorsement from Joe Rogan, who doesn't do this, for President Trump. Massive. Yes, because of a media personality, right? Absolutely. But then you got to dig down just a little bit and think about Joe Rogan's numbers, his main audience. Wide appeal, obviously, is huge, right? But still, to this day, the core demographic for Joe Rogan are what? How did it all start? And they haven't left him. UFC bros, right? They're the first ones that found him. Young, 20s, 30s male voters who are so key to this. Like I said, Joe's got a wider audience than that, but they never left him and they're still there. Why is that so important? Well, as they always tell us, after the election, they always say, yeah, the young male turnout vote wasn't quite as strong for Republicans. It's got to be. And I think it will be. It's got to be strong today. It has to. Young dudes. All the young dudes like the song. This is where it comes down to. You coming out and voting today. If you didn't early vote, there's still plenty of time. You got all day. And if you know a person like that, you know they're registered, you know they have common sense, grab them, drive them, come up with an excuse, get out of work, whatever it is, wait in line and get to the polls and you vote for your future, because that's what's going to make the difference. I said months ago, I think even back to radio days, I think it's going to come down to two things. I think it's going to come down to the black community in inner cities coming out to vote, and so far they think that's actually happening, and young male voters. That's what it's going to come down to. That's what's going to push common sense and our American comeback story over the top. The dudes are going to do this. Because you have the wall. You are the answer to these legions. You know they're coming out. The legions of insane, whack job, low information, view-watching, crazy liberal suburban women. You're the answer to it. Young dudes who want a future. You're the answer. Get out and vote. And why is it so important? Why did I call this our American comeback story? You know, and I've always kind of wrestled with this because it's like my two passions in this country are patriotism and personal development, you know, personal success. And I always thought the worlds were kind of separated. I always thought there were different things, and they're not. This entire experience has taught me that they're not separated. They are tied one and won hand in hand together. They go hand in hand. Personal success and the success of your country. And I would go back and further. I'm a big lover of American history. I love it. The colonial age and the American Revolution. I love it. If you study a lot of those guys, the Sons of Liberty, Paul Revere and Sam Adams, and even go back to the Founding Fathers with Jefferson and Ben Franklin, they were into this as well, and they completely understood that your success is directly tied to where you live and what you support and where your generations further on from you, your family is going to live. That's why this is so important. And why is this election so important? Think of everything we've all suffered through. All of it. These past 4. Think of the nightmare we lived through. First, if you want to talk about the COVID thing, is shutting your kids out of school, closing your business. Have you lost a job because of COVID? Because your company didn't recover? I think we've all dealt with that one way or another. And the inflation prices. We talked about the border, flooding the border, making our towns and cities unsafe. Maybe a couple of years ago, did you lose a loved one that you couldn't, they were in a hospital, but you couldn't visit them in their final days? I did. I lived through that because of COVID. Because of that, because of the response to it, because of a tyrannical government shoving a vaccine down your throat. We dealt with that too. How about that? How about the economy? How about your food prices? How about your gas prices? Lockdowns, gas prices, all of it. Everything we've lived. The lawfare they've thrown against Trump that can come against you and me and everybody else. They put their political opponents in jail. This is the tyranny we're fighting. This is our moment. But again, what I try to leave you with is a theme. It's an incredible time in American history. That's why I say our American comeback story, our comeback story for the country and for yourself in your personal life, everything starts today. And it just may be incredible. All right, let's wrap this up short and sweet because you don't have time to listen to podcasts or somebody like me yakking. You got to get out and vote. And again, the main takeaway, one of those young dudes who's going to flip this election that normally wasn't thinking about voting because they think wherever they live, wherever they are in the country, Trump's already got this in the bag. No, grab them. Grab them, drive them, call into work for them, say they're too sick to show up, whatever it is. It's too important. All the young dudes are going to flip this thing. That's how important this is because this must be won, as Elon said. That's how important it is. It's our comeback story, and it starts right now. Thanks for finding me, as always. I appreciate it. Live right now, and more and more updates are coming. It's going to be a long night, so kind of chill out, but believe, put your faith in God and country and the people that are fighting for it. Our takeaway, we're going to do this, and don't take any crap from anybody, especially the tyrants. It'll be a big day tomorrow. Can't wait for it. We'll talk to you at 8 a.m. live. Don't forget, put your notifications on if you follow me. This lives on as a post later on in the audio podcast, wherever you get them. Do this, America. Do it. We'll talk to you tomorrow.